One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Wishful report he paves his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a crazy Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. Let's get it. Feels ultra good. Guys, we got a lot to discuss this morning, as you guys can obviously tell. Iran war latest, as well as Mullin DHS hearing. It's actually happening right now. And then Trump on Cuba and top news, of course. Now, some crazy shit that's going on over there in the Middle East. The United States is now using 5,000-pound bombs and fucking them up over there, basically. This is what's happening. So we've got all that information for you guys. Let's go ahead and give a chronological breakdown of what we're actually looking at this morning. Top counterterrorism official Joe Kent resigns over the Iran war. Now, that is some interesting development, and we'll get into discussions of who he is when we discuss that story. And then we have House GOP leadership speaks amid the Iran conflict. And of course, you know that we're going to listen in and see what they're going to be saying, these officials. Then we have Trump updates on NATO, as well as Iran war, Strait of Hormuz, protections, etc. We've got all of that lined up from yesterday when Trump was speaking. Then we have Iran's top security official killed in an Israeli strike. And I can't name this guy's name. His first name is Ali. But all his other parts of his name, there's no way I could even try. But I guess he was a top official, and I forget exactly what position he was, but obviously it's going to break that down for us in that segment. Then Iran strikes Dubai airport, forcing UAE to close airspace temporarily. Yo, Iran's definitely not making their, making best moves for their region, in my opinion. I mean, you start striking the money of the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, places like that, Doha or whatever. It's not a good look, man, for you over there in Iran. It's just not good. I mean, on our side, we have plenty of not good looks. Trust me, I get it. But yeah, those guys are getting pissed over there in the Middle East. We have a U.S. drops 5,000-pound bombs near Strait of Hormuz, CENTCOM says. Told you there's going to be some big artillery coming out. And then we have breaking that happened around midnight for local time, my time, midnight. Iranian missile barrage kills 2 in central Israel. Very, very sad to see. We got Trump says, quote, "I'm not afraid," when asked about sending troops to Iran.
Bruh.
Come on, man. I don't like that rhetoric. We got multiple Iranian leaders killed in an Israeli strike in less than 24 hours, and this just came out an hour ago, by the way. And there's too many names here that I can't pronounce, so I'm not even going to fucking try. Then we have the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, speaks to reporters amid the Iran conflict, and that happened an hour ago as well. And then we have Senator Mullin makes opening statement in DHS confirmation hearing. Now, there's going to be that hearing that's happening pretty much all day today. So we'll go ahead and just give you guys at least the opening statement. So All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and pretty much do our call to actions and get right into the craziness of this morning. Please make sure you guys come in and hit that like button and double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. Hit that subscribe button too. This is what we do Monday through Friday. And then, of course, Saturday morning for members only. We condense all the world's madness into a single hour. We don't sit here and live stream for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours at a time. We condense everything, so I appreciate you guys. Talking about memberships, though, please consider becoming a member, starting only at $3.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Follow my Instagram right here at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as the campaign trail. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. And we also have a Discord server for all of you legends. We just heavily discuss these topics after the show, and we hang out in the Insane Wheels server. So make sure you guys go down to the video description down below. It'll have the invite link for that for you guys. We have the majority of you guys in there. We need we're at 95%, we got to have 100% of you guys in there. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, by the way, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen. And of course, you guys can send in there where I'm able to get 100% of the proceeds. And I'll read out your donation just like a super chat. I've got my email up, and I'll be scanning throughout the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're pretty much going to have to get right into the craziness. We have a lot of shit going on here. I can't do individual hellos all the way through, but I will definitely try to give it a little bit of a best shot here. We got Two Wheel Jesus as well as Steve Easy. Good morning to you guys. We got Charles Darwin as well as Miss Lotus, Jimmy Mack as well as Charlie Rose. Great to see you guys in the chat, my man. We got Steve Posey as well. Good morning to you, kind sir. We're running our way down. We got Brother 13 in the chat. Good morning to you. Great to see you. We got Pops the Clubber, my man. Yes, sir. Good morning to you. We got Joseph up there in Canada, our favorite snow Mexican. Great to see you. We got Big Dan in the building as well as Prez. Good morning to you guys. We got my man Job in the building. Shout out to my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far. I definitely know that we are. We got Carney Vanguard as well, and big shout out to the coffee crew for the raid this morning. So thank you guys. Motorbomb, Carney Ride, Carney Vanguard, I very much appreciate you guys. All right, we're going to have to get right into this shit, guys. We got way too much to get to this morning, so we're going to just get to it. Top counterterrorism official Joe Kent resigns over Iran war. Let's get into this.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. We wanted to share this breaking news here with you as top counterterrorism official Joe Kent has resigned. We're learning this within the past hour here. Joe Kent, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, announced his resignation today, saying he cannot in good conscience back the Trump administration's war in Iran. Kent shared in a social media post saying,
Brother Sick Bastard, my man, good morning.
Iran, quote, pose no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. There was no immediate comment from the White House. We do have his full statement here that I wanted to share with you, and I am going to ask my producer to get up on the screen. There it is.
Now, I actually read this entire statement, by the way, and it was really well thought out. In my humble, honest opinion, I was like, wow, that motherfucker made a statement.
It says, President Trump, after much reflection, I've decided...
Hold on, before he reads it out, or before she reads it out, we got Steve Posey coming in with the $2, my man, saying, morning knuckleheads. Yes, sir, dropping $2 in the Cash App, or in the Cash App, in the chat. I very much appreciate you. Great to see you in the chat. We got Carrie as well as Lappy. Good morning to you guys. We got JD over there on the Twitch side of things. Good morning.
Invited to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. I support the values and the foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2016, 2020, 2024.
And I think we all pretty much, at least if you're a Republican on the right side, whatever, pretty much all voted for the shit in 2016 that it campaigned on, 2020, 24. Until June of 2025 is when things, of course, changed in this letter. But objectively speaking as well.
War, which you enacted in your first term. Until June of 2025.
Steve Posey coming in and gifting out a membership, my man. Thank you very much. Helps not only me, but helps someone else in the IWF. I very much appreciate that.
You understood that the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. In your first administration, you understood better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars.
What's up, Papa Penguin? Good morning.
He goes on to say, early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States, and that should you strike now, there was a clear path to swift victory. This was a lie and is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife.
Yeah, he actually lost his wife while she was overseas.
Shannon, in a war manufactured by Israel. I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people nor justifies the cost of American lives. I pray that you will
What's up, Blake? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat.
Reflect upon what we are doing in Iran and who we are doing it for. The time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further toward decline and chaos. You hold the cards. It was an honor to serve in your administration and to serve our great nation. So
Signed
that was
off.
that post there.
Yep. So at least you guys know that happened. Let's go ahead and keep it moving, though. We got to keep it pushing this morning. We got a lot to get through. All right. House GOP leadership speaks amid Iran conflict. Let's go ahead and bring that up, and we'll go ahead and briefly discuss this. We're not going to play the whole thing either, by the way.
I want to start this morning by being very, very clear to every single Democrat watching today. Enough is
What's up, Dylan? Good morning to you. Shout out to you. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
enough. Put the political games
Lindsay,
aside
good morning.
and fund our homeland security. Last week, just outside my
Pancho, shit, my man. Great to see you.
district, an anti-Semitic driver with an explosive-filled vehicle plowed into Temple Israel Synagogue. The building was set
We got a whole bunch of legends coming in this morning. We got Al Patterson, my man. Good morning.
ablaze while dozens of children were inside. Hours earlier, ISIS supporter opened fire at Old Dominion University. And days before that, a man wearing a sweatshirt saying, property of Allah, killed 2 people.
And also it had the Iranian flag down below as well.
And wounded 14. This is not a game. End the shutdown now. Fund our homeland security.
You think that's actually going to work, lady? The way that you're speaking in that kind of rhetoric? Honestly, you think that is going to be... The Democrats are going to be like, oh, yeah, we'll just sign it.
Protect Americans. Now, despite this urgency, however, almost every single Democrat in this town has voted to defund our homeland security. And why? Because they'd rather protect violent, illegal criminals than protect law-abiding Americans.
What's up, Mr. Mystery?
Citizens. Let that sink in for a minute. Frankly, I'm sick and tired of it. And guess what? The innocent American citizens are tired of it too. In addition to fighting for an end to the shutdown, House Republicans will take up legislation this week to make sure that foreign nationals who commit fraud can be deported and permanently barred from exploiting more American citizens.
Now that part is a W. We got Dean in the chat. Good morning to you. Great to see you. We got Shamka. I think that's how you say it. Good morning to you guys. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning. Great to see you guys. All right, here we go.
I just show you this. And if you think that's unnecessary, let me introduce you to a few people who the Democrats love to support. This man is here illegally from Cuba, who was arrested in Big Rapids, Michigan for credit card fraud. Okay? All right. This man...
But that's a lot of people. Credit card fraud? Oh, yeah.
Arrested in Carson City, Michigan for fraud and homicide, murder. I think we can all agree he shouldn't be allowed to remain in the country. Another individual in Port Huron arrested for fraud. A woman in Sandusky, Michigan,
Well, tell me what type of fraud, though.
also arrested for fraud,
What kind of fraud, though?
right? And that's just in my home state of Michigan. I could keep going without, keep going and going. I mean, this is happening in just my state. I can't even imagine. I mean, we'd be here all day if we had to talk about what's happening in Whip Emmer State, right? Minnesota. We wouldn't have enough time. But despite what the liberal media wants you to believe, these are people that law enforcement are targeting. And law enforcement is actually holding these people accountable who have committed crimes against law-abiding Americans. Those are the people that the Democrats want to protect. This is exactly the people Republicans are making sure will never, ever be welcome back here again. Listen, the United States is the most generous nation in the world, but our
What's up, Pitbull, over there in the UK? Shout out to my man. And by the way, Edward, fucking retard, I'd like to know, because I work off of facts, when you just make a blanket statement, fraud, yeah, I would like to know if it was credit card fraud, if it was governmental fraud. I'd like to know if it was, grant fraud. I'd like to know these things. Yeah, sorry that I like to be informed, dumb fuck.
generosity should never be mistaken for weakness. When people exploit our system, when they steal from our programs meant to help the most vulnerable Americans, when they commit fraud against our families, they undermine the trust that holds these programs and institutions together. And they take resources from Americans. So let me put it really simply. The Biden administration let a lot of these bad people in, like 20 million of them. Terrorists, fraudsters, violent criminals. And now Democrats are playing political games to protect the bad guys and let the American citizens fall to the wayside? Tell me how that makes sense. That needs to end, and that needs to end now. Fund our homeland security. Deport violent criminals. Keep foreign fraudsters out of our country. These are common sense principles nearly every single law-abiding American citizen agrees with. It's time Democrats in Washington started supporting Americans too. And with that, I'll hand it over to Congresswoman from New York, Claudia Tenney.
Good morning. Thank you to my colleagues and to everyone here. This is an important piece of legislation. I want to thank everyone here who's supporting it and highlighting it. The Deporting Fraudsters Act addresses a serious problem. Individuals who come to our country and steal from American taxpayers should not be allowed to remain in our country. This legislation ensures that illegal aliens who defraud the United States government or unlawfully receive taxpayer-funded benefits are inadmissible and deportable under federal law. Current immigration law leaves gaps that allow bad actors to exploit public programs without facing appropriate consequences.
What's up, Extra Surprise? Good morning and happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday. By the way, we have over 240 people in here between both of the streams. Make sure you guys double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. Hit that like button if you're on the horizontal. Listen, you guys don't have to like the craziness that's happening around the world, but you guys can like it for me and what we do here. So thank you guys for that.
This bill closes those gaps and ensures individuals who steal benefits intended for needy American citizens face removal. We have already seen why action is needed. Independent journalist Nick Shirley helped expose a massive fraud scheme showing how organized and widespread these scams can become even when oversight fails. Fraud targeting programs like Social Security, SNAP, and Medicare does not affect just a government budget. It harms seniors who spend their lives paying into these programs, working families trying to get ahead, and vulnerable Americans who rely on these resources. This is not an isolated problem. Last fall, I blew the whistle on Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, exposing how one physician in his 80s billed Medicare over $600 million.
I'm going to be honest. This bitch that's talking here, she is just super monotone boring.
Over the course of the Biden administration, basically from 21 through 2024, with 95% of billings concentrated in the Los Angeles County area. That level of abuse is unacceptable and underscores how vulnerable these programs are without strong accountability. Entering this country illegally is already a crime. Turning programs meant to help our truly needy citizens into vehicles for large-scale fraud is even worse. Those who steal from hardworking Americans must be held accountable and should not be allowed to remain in the United States. The Deporting Fraudsters Act restores fairness, protects taxpayer dollars, and reinforces the rule of law. I'm here today to support this legislation and look forward to working with my colleagues to make sure we get it across the finish line. And I yield to Mr. Emmer.
Thanks, Claudia.
What's that sound?
Last week, 2 separate terrorists targeted Americans at a synagogue in Michigan and in a classroom in Virginia. Our prayers are with the family of Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Shaw, who was tragically killed by the...
Wow, Brother So Loud coming in with the $10, and he didn't even send a message. It was a sticker, so I very much appreciate the super sticker, my man. Thank you for that. Goes a long way, my man. Thank you very much for that.
Monster who opened fire at Old Dominion University. The profile of the ODU terrorist is troubling. A naturalized citizen from Sierra Leone, convicted of attempting to support ISIS in 2016, released from prison early by the Biden administration in 2024, only to carry out a terrorist attack in 2026. The writing was on the wall. Yet the Biden administration's soft on terrorism policies and our nation's current immigration laws let this ISIS-affiliated individual stay in America and walk free. An American life was lost as a direct result. It's common sense that any naturalized citizen who joins or supports a designated terrorist organization should be denaturalized and deported.
Shit. Cooked. Motherfucker's cooked.
But under current law, it's virtually impossible to do so. That's why Senator Eric
What's up, Tiffany? Great to see you in the chat. I wasn't expecting to see you this morning.
Schmidt
Great
and
to
I
see you.
introduced the Scam Act earlier this year. This legislation will make it easier to strip terrorists of their citizenship and ship them back to where they came from. It's simple. Terrorists do not belong on U.S. soil, naturalized or not. As our nation faces varying threats, I will remind you that the Democrats have now shut down the Department of Homeland Security for over a month. Airports across the country are feeling the impact. On Friday, TSA workers received $0 paycheck because Democrats continue to block DHS funding. More than 300 TSA officers have quit since the start of this shutdown, the second Democrat shutdown in just 6 months. And can you blame them? Because of the Democrats' reckless political games, the men and women of TSA have been forced to work without pay for 43% of this fiscal year.
That
43%. It's almost half.
And that's why so many have quit.
Democrats are playing political games while these TSA officers struggle to put food on the table, pay the mortgage, and take care of their families. It's cruel, it's dangerous, and it's time for this to end. Democrats could stop this immediately today if they wanted to. I hope they do. And with that, I turn it over to our leader, Steve Scalise.
Thank you, Whip. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. We have a number of things.
And yes, for context, yes, of course, this happened yesterday after we got off the show. As you guys know, we consolidate everything into a single hour within the last 24 hours of what's going on, right? So this did happen yesterday for full context for anybody that's just coming in.
We're doing this week. We are tomorrow bringing a balanced budget amendment to the United States Constitution. A really important debate to have to, number one, do here in Washington what every state in America does, and that is require fiscal discipline, that at the end of each fiscal year, we balance our books, just like families do every year. Those conversations around a kitchen table where you talk about making priorities and ultimately fund the things that are most important. And based on how much money you have coming in, you don't spend more than you take in. Shouldn't Washington have...
It sounds very good, but both Republicans and Democrats don't do well with that.
Not only that same debate, but that same requirement in the United States Constitution. It's going to be a really critical vote to watch on the House floor. Who...
I got you, Steve.
Stop the cap.
...stands for fiscal discipline and who wants to continue recklessly spending other people's money. That will happen tomorrow. We already heard about the efforts we're going to continue to take to root out fraud in America, to protect taxpayer money, especially...
Well, and that's good. I mean, everybody would be pretty much down to make sure that, you know, fraud is handled.
From people who come here illegally and then abuse this very country and the wonderful things that these people do in this country to help welcome people, but yet those that take advantage of us should have no place here. You're going to see that vote as well. But you're also going to see the Democrats start trying to shift blame as the final results of what they've done to shut down the Department of Homeland Security become evident to all Americans. Anybody who flies on a plane now knows what the Democrats have done with the Department of Homeland Security shutdown. At my home airport in New Orleans, you had lines wrapped around the airport all the way into the parking garage. People waiting over 3 hours and missing flights because Democrats want to have yet another tantrum.
Yeah, same thing over there in Austin, same thing over there in Dallas. Oh, man, I mean, there was lines literally going around the airport multiple times fucking terrible. And yeah, I mean, that's what happens. DHS, TSA is under DHS. So when DHS was not funded, neither was TSA.
It's not the first time that they've tried to spark chaos in the country. As the whip said, it's the second shutdown they've had in just 6 months. Because Democrats don't want to govern. Democrats are not capable of governing. They just want chaos in America. And it's hurting real Americans all across this nation. Obviously, it starts with those workers that aren't getting paid, that have to show up. And we see it at the airports with TSA agents. Over 100,000 employees of the Department of Homeland Security are working without pay because Democrats don't care about people. And this week,
they don't care about people. Well, I kind of, you know, understand that rhetoric for sure, but that's not the reason. They're definitely fighting their own interesting fight over there.
We're going to hear him talking about a discharge petition. Let me tell you what that is. It's yet another attempt by Democrats to defund the police. It's a defund the police discharge. That's what it is. Why?
It's defunding ICE in particular. It's not defunding the police. That's not what the direct, that logically wouldn't follow. What follows is they don't want ICE. They don't want deportations. That's basically their argument.
Because go back to the Summer of Love. You know, when people were burning down cities, Democrats' crazy idea was to defund the police. They tried it. The American people recognized it for what it is, one of the dumbest political ideas maybe in the history of American politics. But the Democrats aren't done with it. Now that you're in another moment of Democrat-created chaos, what is their answer? To defund law enforcement again. That's what their petition does. The American people aren't going to be fooled by it. We don't fund agencies piecemeal. You fund the things you support, and you don't fund the things you don't like. We have a Department of Homeland Security. It was created in the wake of 9/11. Democrats...
Well, you got to remember in all these things, including when the Democrats speak or when the Republicans speak, they're not really actually trying to... they're not talking directly to the Democrats, for instance, like these guys. They're not talking to the Democrats. They're talking to the people, and they're trying to get the people to feel a certain way so that they can put political pressure on the opposite team. That's how this shit plays out every single fucking time.
They're operating like it's September 10th, before 9/11 happened. They want to repeat those mistakes by shutting that critical department down at a heightened level of security. We've seen the terrorist attacks here on our homeland. We know what's going on, and yet Democrats have voted to shut that department down because they don't care about American people. They don't care about families. People are missing flights. People are going without pay while working. Hundreds of them have quit. TSA workers that just said, I can't do this anymore. I've got a family to feed. I've got to go get a stable job. And working for the federal government under Democrats' crazy radical chaos is just not a place where they can be. They're real victims in the Democrats' dangerous game. And now this defund the police discharge is one more example that they're not serious.
It's not defund the police. It's defund ICE.
People. But we've got real work to do. And American people are counting on us to get the job done. And the man leading that fight to get the job done is our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Now we get to hear him, and then once he's done with this, we're gonna move right on. We can't sit here and play the entire thing with all the questions and stuff like that. We have to move on. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stories after this.
Thank you, Leader Scalise. I would say good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day, but it's not a happy day for so many millions of Americans. It's really a difficult one. We're on day 31 since the Democrats decided to shut the government down, the partial shutdown, this time of Homeland Security. This is now the third longest shutdown in American history. They like making history on the other side, the wrong kind. They had the longest shutdown in history last fall, as we all know, and now they've got the third. Today is a direct result of Democrats taking the Department of Homeland Security hostage in order to protect criminal, illegal aliens. That's exactly what it is. Here's some of the stats. Roughly 120,000.
Yeah, Swiss, it's kind of, unfortunately, it's a bummer how media works. Those media outlets, the journalists, all of them that are there, for instance, they're allowed to be there by basically the officials there. And if they don't like what is happening there, you do too much pushback, you do too much interjection or whatever the case is, they will pull you away where now you're not able to come back in and you're not going to be able to be a part of this journalism, right? So there's pressure there. It's a little bit easier for me to do it here where I don't have the threat of being thrown out of the fucking building.
DHS employees, including 50,000 TSA agents, are going without pay for yet another week.
What's up, TVT? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat, my man.
FEMA's ability to respond to natural disasters is increasingly imperiled. We had some big weather events, as you might have noticed, in the last 24 hours. Our agency of government that is responsible for assisting with that is being hampered. American airports are reaching a breaking point, so severe that airlines are pleading with Democrats to please fund the Department of Homeland Security. It's fallen on deaf ears. 4 separate times, Republicans have voted to fully fund DHS since this chaos ensued. 4 times. And on each of those times, Democrats voted almost unanimously to block the funding. Now, instead of doing what's right and putting an end to this charade, Democrats insist on tearing the bill apart piece by piece. Their latest proposal would only partially fund DHS while stripping funding for ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. As Leader Scalise just reminded you, the discharge petition is really a petition to defund the police. Think of it. The law enforcement agencies that are the part of the Department of Homeland Security are what they are targeting. Democrats refuse to reopen TSA and FEMA and the Coast Guard and these other critical functions of government unless they can reopen our borders to illegal aliens, because that's exactly what their gambit would accomplish. This is not a serious position. It is not one that the American people agree with. As one of the primary agencies responsible for protecting the homeland, the Customs and Border Patrol plays an irreplaceable role in our national security framework. This is not a game. Our CBP agents stand on the front lines. They protect our nation against transnational crime and drugs and child trafficking, terrorist threats before they reach our communities. It is our largest federal law enforcement agency. CBP is the largest federal law enforcement agency. And any bill that strips its funding weakens our defenses against terrorist plots. It undermines the integrity of our borders, and it disrupts lawful travel through U.S. ports of entry, including the millions of American and international travelers through processed at our airports every single day. Now, it bears repeating. In just the last 2 weeks, we have had 4 jihadist attacks on American soil, all of which originated from perpetrators who are already inside the country. Every one of those attacks falls squarely under the purview of the Department of Homeland Security, and the Democrats don't want to fund it. And now they're demanding we strip funding from the very agency responsible for stopping all of that. It's another dangerous game, a political game by Democrats that's as foolish as it is perilous. I'll make one additional point. Democrats opened our borders wide to tens of millions of illegal aliens for 4 years under Joe Biden, including untold numbers of violent, hardened, and repeat criminals. That is an objective fact, and no one can refute it. They could have closed the border anytime.
Shit, 27 likes, you mean? Not legs. What's up, Motobomb? And yes, make sure you guys hit that like button, by the way. We've got over 400 people in here currently between 2 of the streams. Make sure if you're on the vertical side, double tap that screen, man, and hit that like button if you're on the horizontal. And as well, hit the subscribe button. This is what we do Monday through Friday, man. And then, of course, we have Saturday morning for members only. But yeah, Monday through Friday, man, we can consolidate everything into a single hour.
As you all know, I pleaded with President Biden after I became Speaker to do it, and he pretended as though he did not have the authority to close the border. They chose that. They chose to keep the border wide open, and they looked away. And that happened until President Trump was returned to office, and obviously we secured the border in a very short number of days because the law was always there. He always had the authority. And thankfully, we got a commander-in-chief who understands national security and safety. And now when our borders are...
Yeah, to be truthful, I really do hate when there's whataboutisms. Like, what about them, though? What about them, though? Like, motherfucker, we're not talking about them. We're talking about you right now. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, so.
finally secure, and when illegal aliens are finally being held to account for breaking our laws, now the Democrats want to reverse course. They want to go back to open borders. They want to defund the agencies that are responsible for keeping law and order. And now Leader Jeffries has claimed the latest proposal to defund CBP will just allow talks to continue. But you all know, because you're tracking it every day, that's nonsense. Bipartisan talks were already underway before funding lapsed. It was Democrats who walked away from the table. They did it precisely so that they could take the Department of Homeland Security as their next political hostage. They've made a political calculation. Their polling says they're not fighting Trump enough, and so they determined that Homeland Security was a place to throw down the gauntlet. It's so crazy. It really is. And since they shut down DHS now over a month ago, we've heard nothing but political posturing from Democrat leaders. They're not serious about this. The answer...
No, it's on 1.25 to answer that, on the playback speed, 1.25.
Simple. They don't want to fund Homeland Security. They don't want to do it. They're perfectly content jeopardizing the security of our homeland and hurting the American people if it means protecting criminal illegal aliens. And there is no other way to explain this. Democrats have made that conscious decision repeatedly. You know them by their actions. They're doing it again. In the fall, they shut down the government to try to give taxpayer-funded benefits to illegal aliens. And now they've shut down the government once again to reopen our borders and shield criminal aliens from our own laws. The American people are not on board with this. They're not going to have broken policies. They're not going to have us return to that. The broken policies the Biden administration, they rejected that in the election soundly. The chaos that Democrats unleashed on the country, that was a big issue. In fact, it was the #1 issue in the election of 2024. We're not going back to that. The American people are not going to go back. The Republican conference is going to work every day to ensure that we don't. I'll leave you with this thought. We'll take a couple questions. Listen, CNN had a story this week. They were talking about the Quinnipiac's latest polling, which is consistent with other polls around the country, the favorability of Democrats in Congress. They are at their lowest number in history. In fact, they're far below the lowest polling numbers in history. And the story led with lead. Democrats' favorability is lower than the Dead Sea. Okay, they're at negative 55 percentage points of favorability. Negative net 55% in the open polling. And among independents,
I really don't believe that number, by the way.
Democrats in Congress are at negative 60%. They should just retire. They should just throw in the white towel and give us the Congress so we can fix this mess and stop.
It's pretty funny, though.
The charade. This midterm election that we're coming up on is a contrast election. This is not a. I was talking with Newt Gingrich the other night, and he brought the contract with America. This is a contrast for America. That's what we have. This is common sense, the Republican Party and our policies, versus crazy. This is crazy. It's crazy. And I'll take a few questions.
All right. No, we're not going to take a few questions. We're moving on. We got 9 different stories to get through. All right. Trump updates on NATO as well as Iran war, Strait of Hormuz protections. Now, you guys got to remember, coming up here very soon, we have, let me see if I can find it here. Here it is, 13 hours ago. So this was around 10 p.m. last night for me, Central Standard Time. U.S. drops 5,000-pound bombs near the Strait of Hormuz, CENTCOM says. So stick around. We've got a lot of things to discuss here. So let's go ahead and bring this up. First, actually, we got to get the money part over. We haven't even done that yet.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
That's true. It's very, very true. And but hey, I still love you guys.
Denied.
Shit.
Acting up for 37, 47, I guess now 48 years. For 48 years, they've been bad players, vicious players, and you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. If they got a nuclear weapon, I would say they would have used it within 24 hours after having it. And they would have had it if we didn't bomb them out from that great raid with the B-2 bombers 8 months ago or so. You would have had a nuclear war in the Middle East and maybe beyond. I think it would have hit Europe. Maybe not Ireland, but it would have hit Europe. I think you would have been a nice piece of it. It all gets you. It's big enough that you would have been affected. They would have hit Europe eventually.
I would assume almost all major airports, so loud, are going to be super struggling right now.
Your director of national counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you?
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it. And many people, many of the greatest military scholars are saying for years that presidents should have taken out Iran because they wanted a nuclear weapon. They were, if we didn't do the attack, or if, I'll go a step further, if I didn't terminate the Iran nuclear deal given to us, one of the worst deals ever made by Barack Hussein Obama. Remember when they sent Boeing 757s over there, loaded with cash, hundreds of millions of dollars? You would have been very happy. This was a wonderful, they said hundreds of millions. People forget that. Does anybody remember? Right? You remember. Hundreds of millions of dollars in a Boeing 757. I think there are 2 of them loaded. They took the seats out and they put cash. And it was so much that there wasn't a bank in Virginia, Maryland, or D.C. that had any money left. They stripped them of all their money, put it into planes, sent it to Iran.
Now, the video is going in and out on here. It's not you guys or us live streaming it. It's just bad audio or bad video from their side. It's like the live stream or whatever, when they were streaming this, had bad connection or something.
And almost as ransom. That's not going to happen with Trump. And nobody...
Here, I got you, Pancho.
Why are you gay?
Shit. And what's up, Sterling? Great to see Sterling Wheel in the chat, my man. Good morning.
Never did anything about it. Nobody ever said anything about it. Can you imagine if I did that? So they've been a threat for a long time. But they've really been a threat. If I didn't terminate Obama's horrible deal that he made, the Iran nuclear deal, you would have had a nuclear war 4 years ago. You would have had nuclear holocaust, and you would have had it again if we didn't bomb the site. So when somebody is working with us that says they didn't think Iran was a threat, we don't want those people, because, and there are some people, I guess I would say that, but they're not smart people or they're not savvy people. Iran was a tremendous threat. And virtually every NATO nation, and this is the thing, if they told me it wasn't a threat, and therefore they don't want to help. But when they say it was a threat, and it was a major threat, every one of them, I think every one of them, I don't know if one that said they're not a threat.
It's so funny. I knew Jimmy Mack was going to say some shit. God damn it, Mike freaking got my dogs barking and shit again.
But when they say it was a threat, but we're not going to help, I think they're very foolish. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting because I could say this, that what's happening in Ukraine, we're probably in there for $400 billion. We don't spend any money anymore. They buy it from us and they pay full price. But Biden gave them between $350 and $400 billion of equipment and cash. Someday they'll have to find out about the cash. And you could say that wasn't a threat, you know, we're helping them. So we helped them, and they didn't help us. And I think that's a very bad thing for NATO.
Mr. President.
Are there any repercussions for NATO, and are you still...
NATO.
Well, yeah, on China, it's a little different story. We're resetting the meeting, and it looks like it'll take place in about 5 weeks. We're working with China. They were fine with it. We're going to. I look forward to seeing President Xi. He looks forward to seeing me, I think. But I do look forward to seeing him. We have a good relationship with China. China actually has become economically for us very good, as you know. It's much different than it was in the past. And we have a very good working relationship with China. So we're making it in about 5 or 6 weeks.
Mr. President.
NATO for not supporting you on this.
It's almost over.
Well, no, I just think that it's not good for a partnership when they say what you're doing is a great thing, but we're not going to help. You know, they say what you did is a great thing, but we're not going to help.
All right, we don't need to get any more questions here. We're moving on. So Iranian's top security official was killed in a strike last night, or yesterday, I should say. And let's go ahead and bring this up. We've actually got a couple that have dropped off the list from Israel's point of view. All right, here we go.
Israel said on Tuesday that it killed 2 senior Iranian security officials in a major blow aimed at further weakening the Islamic Republic there as it faces its greatest test in decades. Iran, which confirmed these details, the killing of Ali Larijani, a secretary of Iran's Supreme National Council. This from Netanyahu, the prime minister of the Israel, talking about that as he mentioned that he said, this morning we eliminated Ali Larijani there. Here on Live Now from Fox, it says Ali Larijani is the boss of the Revolutionary Guards, which is the gang of gangsters that runs Iran. Let's be joined right now here on Live Now from Fox by Daniel Roth, research director at the United Against Nuclear Iran UANI. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Who exactly was Ali Larijani? Was he...
That's a very interesting... this isn't going to be biased at all. United Against Nuclear Iran? Shit.
A linchpin to...
Which, by the way, I don't think they should have nukes necessarily either, but I don't think it's up to us to interject this shit.
This regime in Iran.
Good evening, Andy, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Absolutely a linchpin. You don't become Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council twice if you're not a major IRGC regime insider.
Hell yeah, Sterling Will. My man coming in hot, by the way, gifting out a membership. Not only helping me, but it's helping one of you guys in the Insane Wheels family. I very much appreciate you guys.
Seeing a lot of
Hit the like button, everybody. We got well over 400 people in here. Let's get the likes up. I very much appreciate it. You don't have to like all the craziness that's happening, but you guys can like it from me and what we do here. So thank you.
Revisionism about his career, about his role, about his personality in some of the media today. But you know, let's be clear, he was, if the Supreme Leader was a 10 in terms of hardline, he was an 8.5, if not a 9. Just in the last couple of months, he was really one of those major figures that were responsible for that awful crackdown on Iranian citizens protesting this horrific regime in which something like 36,000, if not more, were brutally killed by these Iranians, and he played a major part in that. So let's get rid of any revisionism about this chap.
And we've heard that the president has said that the objective is not necessarily a regime change. Does it signal, based on some of these actions by the
Not necessarily. What do you mean?
United States, by Israel, that at least that's a part of it?
I think the president, like any sensible person, would love to see a new regime installed, one that was friendly to the West and friendly to the international community of nations. I've seen Iran described as part of this axis of chaos, along with a few.
Yes, we already know this shit, homie. Let's get some facts here. I don't care about that whole bit. Let's see if we actually get something here. Okay, let's see what this says right here.
About a report out there that says Russia is secretly providing satellite imagery, sharing drone technology to help Iran target the U.S. forces in that region.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure of that. Russia is definitely the only thing that they're really going to do is give intel and essentially fund Iran. That's essentially really it. Now, Russia's position on all of this is kind of interesting. They don't really care about this war. If anything, they like the war, meaning Russia, because it takes a lot of political pressure off of Putin for Russia-Ukraine, A, and then B, to fund the Russia-Ukraine war, it's done by oil. Well, when this war is going down, price of oil goes up. So he's able to fund his war better that way. So he's not really going to, like, everyone's like, oh, what if Russia gets fucking pissed off and wants to launch nukes at us or some crazy shit? I'm like, no, that's not going to happen with Russia. But anyways, they are going to be giving intel and shit like that. Anyways, we're moving on. We've got to move on. Iran strikes Dubai airport, forcing UAE to close airspace temporarily. This happened yesterday. Let's go ahead and bring this up, and we'll quickly discuss as we get through all these.
Very latest as Middle East tensions continue, and this was just some of the many messages out in Dubai from earlier today. Take a look here. Fox News' Lucas Tomlinson putting this out on X, saying about the UAE air defenses that were currently active, and we were seeing a lot of activity the last couple of days, especially in Dubai. For more on this, I want to go right now to Dubai, and that is where we find Fox News' Lucas Tomlinson with a breakdown. Lucas, tell us, what do you know on the latest?
Well, good afternoon, Mike. It was just a few days ago that Iran fired only a handful of drones here at the UAE, just 6, and about 4 ballistic missiles. Today, a very different story. Iran firing 10 ballistic missiles and 45 drones at the Emirati Air Defense's
What's up, Brother Kel, up there in Canada? My man, good morning and happy Wimp 'em Out Wednesday.
Neutralized, we're told, but they canceled, they closed airspace overhead, canceled a number of flights at the airport. Some had to divert. Just a sign that while President Trump talks about the 7,000 targets that have been neutralized in Iran, round-the-clock strikes from the U.S. Air Force, U.S. Navy, that Iran is still capable of packing a punch. In Saudi Arabia, they've received dozens of drone attacks. And what we're seeing here in the UAE is Iran is primarily targeting the oil infrastructure, the Shah.
Elwine, great to see you in the chat as well, bro. Good morning.
A gas field in Abu Dhabi, about an hour away from where I'm standing, that was hit today. Production has been suspended, and the Fujairah oil complex, which is part of the overland pipeline that connects the Dubai area to the Gulf of Oman, bypassing the Strait of Hormuz. The Fujairah oil complex was hit for the 3rd time this week, and of course, you can't be here in Dubai and the United Arab Emirates and not talk about the Strait of Hormuz. Tanker traffic has virtually ground to a halt, although it is notable, Mike, that in the last 24 hours...
Yeah, we actually showed the ship movements yesterday on yesterday morning's show.
15 tankers did make it through. We heard from President Trump over the past few days.
Appreciate that, Andrew. Be well out there. Always appreciate it. And make sure you guys hit that like button, by the way. Double tap that screen. Appreciate it.
Imploring NATO to send warships, assets to help open up the strait. India today was one of the first to raise their hand saying, hey, we just got 2 oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, we've got a lot of Australians in here, man. Charles Darwin is also in Australia.
10% of this oil from the Persian Gulf actually goes to Asia. Only 2% of the tankers that leave the Persian Gulf come to American shores, and perhaps the Trump administration can lean on some Asian allies to do something about it. In China, clearly no ally of the United States, but you got to figure diplomacy is going on between Beijing and Tehran to get their oil out, because while Iran is holding the Strait of Hormuz hostage, it feels like they want to see high gas prices back.
But we already know this. What I want to know is if you actually have the strike. Here it is. Okay, that's what I care about, is this. All right, we already know the lead up and what it's affecting and what's happening here. We don't need to hear any more of that.
Region, and some people are wondering, what is Iran doing? Why are they lashing out? Is this decentralized command after many of these Iranian leaders have been killed? And would that put pressure on the White House? It hasn't happened. The Gulf states are not putting the pressure on Washington. They're putting the pressure on Tehran, essentially saying, what are you doing here? Here in the UAE, they've seized Iran's financial assets. This is not just a world capital here. A lot of money is laundered through here, as we've seen over the years. In fact, there's 700,000 Iranians that live here in the United Arab Emirates. And, of course, not just a financial capital, it's a tourism destination for many. And I can tell you the hotels have been, many of them are virtually empty. 16 have closed. Go out to the Palm, the man-made island, looks like a palm tree you've seen in the satellite photos. Those hotels were out there recently, Mike. Those are empty. Some of the hotels.
Damn, and those are big money makers out there. Oh, my God. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. U.S. drops 5,000-pound bombs near Strait of Hormuz, CENTCOM says. All right, let's go ahead and pretty much get into it. But first, we got to embrace our fuck-ups, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to? You are a fuck-up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Embrace thy process.
We're going to be joined by retired Marine Intelligence Officer Hal Kemper in a moment. Before that,
Hal Kemper,
track
let's
the
get
latest
it.
on the war in the Middle East with Fox's.
Hey, shout out to Quebec. Great to see you in the chat. Or Quebeca, right? I mean, you guys say it so funny with your French accent sometimes.
Aisha Hasni.
I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake. This was a great test because we don't need them, but they should have been there.
President Trump slamming NATO while hosting the Irish Prime Minister in the Oval Office today, who at one point defended British Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
Keir is not Winston Churchill.
Seymour.
Keir Starmer has done a lot to reset the Irish-British relationship, but I do believe that he's a very earnest, sound person who I think you have a capacity to get on with.
The White House also battling internal pushback on the Iran strikes. Today, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, Joe Kent, resigned.
Yep, he did resign, and we read that in actually at the top of the show.
Claiming Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation and that Trump bowed to pressure from Israel. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt pushing back on that, saying the president had, quote, strong and compelling evidence that Iran was going to attack the United States first.
I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security.
Two sources from inside the administration.
What's up, brother Hardwire? Great to see you in the chat, bro. Good morning.
Confirmed to Fox News Kent was not involved in briefings about Iran.
And GEG, good morning.
Democrats claim the Trump administration has no plan for victory.
Wow, all the legends coming in at the same time. Virginia Chaos, my man. Good morning. Hopefully you guys are all enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
Seems like they're always a few hours away from hanging the next mission accomplished sign around here, and we continue to suffer.
President Trump's trip to China now officially delayed due to the conflict as administration officials try to calm Americans, admitting the longer this goes on, it would hurt consumers.
If it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, but that's like really the last of our concerns right now because we're very confident that this thing is going ahead of schedule.
Also today, President Trump once again calling
fucking terrible
for the Senate to pass the Save America Act, threatening Republicans that if they do not vote for it, they will not receive an endorsement from him. The Senate is now officially debating that bill, which could last for several hours to several days. At the White House, I'm Aisha Hasni, Fox News.
In the meantime, we just heard from the U.S. military that they're using 5,000-pound deep penetrator munitions in Iran. Take a look. CENTCOM posting this, saying hours ago, U.S. forces successfully employed the 5,000-pound deep penetrator munitions.
Damn, no, you're definitely making me jealous right now. Holy shit. I very much am jealous right now. All right, let me go and back this up. Here we go. This is where we get into the 5,000-pound bombs, by the way. Here we go.
We just heard from the U.S. military that they're using 5,000-pound deep penetrator munitions in Iran. Take a look. CENTCOM posting this, saying hours ago, U.S. forces successfully employed the 5,000-pound deep penetrator munitions on hardened Iranian missile sites along the country's coastline near the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian anti-ship cruise missiles in these sites, they say, posed a risk to international shipping in the Strait. Retired Marine Intelligence Officer, National Security Analyst, and the host of the Strap podcast, Hal Kemper, is here with me. 5,000-pound deep penetrator munitions. Have we used these before?
Not that I'm aware of. This is the first time.
Oh, wow. This is one of the munitions that we've never used before. We probably built it specifically for this, I'd imagine. We'll find out.
I think this particular one's been used. We've used some pretty advanced deep penetration ordnance, but this one is, as they're saying, this particular one was one that we've never used before. So I have to take their word on it, although it does sound similar to some other things that we have used. But these, one thing they've been doing, certainly for the last, I want to say 5-7 years, is a lot of research and development on some of these unique types of ordnance that can take out these deep underground revetments, facilities, tunnels, that they built, looking specifically at Iran, but also looking at other places like North Korea and other places around the world. You know, we're just seeing more and more stuff where they bury their places where they store drones and ballistic missiles and everything else. And this one, it said specifically it hit
Or enriched uranium, stuff like that.
a tunnel where they had a lot of anti-ship cruise missiles right along the coast. And so it sounds like it was a very good application. One thing I should mention is we're seeing heavy bombers coming in. We're seeing B-1Bs flying over Iran. B-52s are in the area. I'm not entirely sure what the B-52s are hitting. However, if you take out the air defenses along the coastline, which is probably something that we are in the process of doing if we haven't done it already, that allows these larger bombers, things that can carry more than what a B-2 bomber can carry, that can also be forward deployed, so there can be more sorties every day, to get in there and bring this heavy ordnance in to reduce these underground facilities, which will allow us to cause attrition of their anti-ship capabilities in the Strait of Hormuz, that much faster.
Very interesting, though.
Hal, just before you came on here, we heard of a strike that happened in Ramat Gan. This is in central Israel. The camera's panning up at the upper portion of a building that appeared to get damaged by this strike. Moments ago, we were looking at this camera and they were surveying the ground conditions. There was certainly a strike that seems to have hit the Tel Aviv area. I'm wondering if we can get the Trey Yingst post up on the screen. I want to ask you, Hal. Trey saying 2 killed in central Israel during the last Iranian missile barrage. Cluster munitions.
Yep, Biker News Canada, you are correct, by the way. But great to see you in the chat. We already broke the first one, and then we're going to be talking more about it here in a little bit. But we're already at 57 minutes, man. And we still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories after this one. Jesus.
Raining down on Tel Aviv and surrounding areas. A reminder, Hal, that they've got a
overtime
pretty,
today.
Beefy missile defense system in Israel, but every once in a while we do see something get through.
Well, one of the things we've been seeing is that the Iranians have been putting cluster bomb warheads onto their ballistic missiles. This is a little bit different than
and cluster bomb. They are brutal.
What we saw last June. This is a change. And what happens is when they come in, whether it's the Iron Dome or David Sling or whatever air defense system hits that missile, if it hits it and
what's up, Doomerang? Great to see you in the chat. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
It's directly over an area, rather than destroying a singular warhead with a large singular explosive, it will break apart. In some cases, it will break apart before they have a chance to destroy it. And it will rain down these smaller cluster munitions, and that has become a more difficult problem to basically prosecute from an air defense standpoint.
No, Iran's been using them a lot lately, actually.
This has been a big issue. Obviously, many countries in the world consider cluster munitions to be illegal under the law of war.
Yep, exactly, and they're still using it.
But not all countries do. We use cluster munitions, and it is a particularly devastating way of causing a lot of damage. But
it does a lot of damage, but it can definitely get a lot of innocence in its wake, I should say.
It does seem to be, for Iran, it does seem to be something they want to use. And for Israel, it's causing a lot of air defense headaches in order to try and stop this.
What's up, Danny? Good morning.
From raining down destruction when they take out the ballistic missile itself.
Let's talk about Joe Kent. Of course, many people have been talking about Kent today. We had a little bit of an audio interruption.
And we already know about Kent. We already reported all that. Okay, let's go ahead and see if we get anything updated here. It doesn't look like we're getting any updated maps. We do have some strikes here. Let me see what these strikes are.
And injuries to his feet. He may have lost a leg, had severe internal organ injuries, and could be in a coma.
Not the leg, homie. Shit. Not the leg. Come on. It's fucked up, yo. Shit.
And I say these things, you could say, well, it sounds a little conspiratorial. We don't know. That's the whole thing. Nobody's seen him. So Lauren Johnny was kind of seen as the actual decision maker who was calling the shots, who was basically running the country, running the regime's response to this war, and now he's out of pocket. And others can move up into his place, but they won't have the same gravitas the same recognition, the same following that Larijani had. So I think it's going to be over time, I think it'll be effective. You know, we asked the same question when Nasrallah was taken out by the Israelis. Will this really stop Hezbollah? And what we found out over time was, yeah, it really slowed down Hezbollah. Nasrallah had been there for a long time. And when you take out a key leader like that, it takes them a while to get back on their feet.
The time in Israel.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Again, we've got way too much shit happening this morning. Iranian missile barrage kills 2 in central Israel, which we actually just heard that report, and we actually saw that little piece there. So we actually don't need to get into that because it was already reported. So Trump says, quote, "I'm not afraid," when asked about sending troops to Iran. I'm not liking that rhetoric. Here we go. And we're not even going to play this whole thing, obviously.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Khalafi. We are continuing to track the latest news out of the Middle East. We have a live look right now at Tel Aviv and another live angle of Beirut, Lebanon. Today it is now Wednesday morning there in the Middle East. And we have some news coming out from Israeli forces saying they have killed Iran's top security chief, Ali Larijani, and Basij commander Gholam Reza Soleimani. They say they were killed in Israeli strikes in Iran. The IDF posting this news on X today, saying Larijani, secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council and the regime's effective leader, has been eliminated. Throughout the years, Larijani was considered one of the most veteran and senior figures within the Iranian regime leadership and was a close associate of the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. During the most recent wave of protests against the Iranian terror regime, Larijani personally oversaw the massacre that was carried out against Iranian protesters. The IDF also posting that news with this video posted on X earlier today.
Shit.
The IDF has eliminated the leadership of the Iranian terror regime. Again, first, the de facto leader of the Iranian regime, Ali Larijani. Since the elimination of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, Larijani served as the regime's head and directed the regime's terror attacks across the region. For years, Larijani was one of the regime's most veteran and senior figures. He personally directed decades of terror, including against his own people, leading the violent suppression of any Iranian protesters. Larijani became the Iranian regime's #1 until we eliminated him too. Additionally, we eliminated the commander of the Basij unit, Gholam Reza Soleimani. The Basij unit is a force used to violently suppress protesters, silence civilians across Iran, and a core pillar in the regime's ability to conduct their terror operations. Soleimani was a senior IRGC leader for the past 6 years and led the main internal repression operations of the Iranian regime. At his hands, any Iranian who spoke up against the regime was violently arrested, tortured, or murdered. We eliminated...
You know what? I have better propaganda than this. Let's go ahead and just run my propaganda first.
Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate some freaking.
True, though. True.
Denied.
Here we go.
Leader who targeted his own people. We began Operation Roaring Lion by eliminating the Iranian regime's senior leadership, and we will continue eliminating any threat to our civilians. As the operation continues, so does our mission. Every day that goes by, we degrade the Iranian regime's capabilities even more. The mission continues.
And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
All right, so now...
Who also posting a video about this operation earlier today. Let's listen to that as well.
I'm here with Israel's defense minister, our chief of staff, the head of the Mossad, the chief of Air Force, our senior commanders. In the past 24 hours, we knocked out 2 of the terrorist chieftains, the top terrorist chieftains of this tyranny. Our aircraft are hitting the terror operatives on the ground, in the crossroads, in the city squares. This is meant to enable the brave people of Iran to celebrate the Festival of Fire. So celebrate and Happy Nowruz. We're watching from above.
For more on this, let's bring in political scientist Benjamin Arad. Thank you so much for being here with us.
We don't really need to hear anything from you, cuh. I'd like to go ahead and see where there's like a tweet about or video of Trump saying that he's not scared to send troops to Iran. I don't need this guy telling us about it. Okay, it's not there. We're going to move on. We still got 3 stories to get through, and we're way past our point right now. So anyways, multiple Iranian leaders killed in Israeli strike in less than 2 hours. Let's go ahead and bring this up and discuss it quickly here.
Over now to some breaking news in regards to the developing situation in the Middle East. Taking a look here, it's a social media post courtesy of the Associated Press. It says, breaking. Israel says that Iranian intelligence minister Ismail Khatib has been killed. This is what we know so far from the Associated Press. They say this, that Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, made the announcement on Wednesday, so earlier today, and in fact, just a few minutes ago. The killing of Khatib follows the killings of top Iranian security officials Ali Larijani and the head of the paramilitary Revolutionary Guard's all-volunteer besieged force. The defense minister of Israel, Katz, said that, quote, significant surprises are expected throughout this day on all the fronts. The U.S. Treasury, which sanctioned Khatib in 2022 over the intelligence ministry, quote, engaging in cyber-enabled activities against the United States and its allies, put his year of birth as either 1960 or 1961. It said that Khatib had been born in Iran's South province, and that Khatib, quote, directs several networks of cyber threat actors involved in cyber espionage and ransomware attacks in support of Iran's political goals. Again, that is according to the Treasury. The Treasury also called Iran's intelligence ministry in another round of sanctions one of the Iranian government's main security services, which is responsible for serious human rights abuses. So there's a lot to get to on this Wednesday. Continuing here and bringing onto the conversation now is going to be Jonathan Sayeh. He is an Iran program research analyst at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
Thanks for joining. So this breaking news came down just a few minutes ago. I want you to just walk our viewers through this, the impact of this particular killing, and then we're going to talk about some other topics.
Now, by the way, this happened just 2 hours ago. So let's go ahead and see this post from the IDF here.
And the repression apparatus.
So you just mentioned there, and of course we are going to get to this topic of these other top Iranian officials. One of them here on the screen, the Israel Defense Forces. So Ali Larijani, this came down as breaking news just yesterday. He was Iran's Supreme National Security Council and the regime's effective leader. He has been eliminated. Jonathan, let's just briefly speak on the impact of this particular...
Got it.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Their death, and really how that changes the scope of decision-making right now within whoever is governing Iran.
You're right to cast a bit of ambiguity as to who is governing the Islamic Republic. The short answer might be no one, or a committee of a few people, but that in itself tells you that there's not one person manning it. I know we had talked about the son of the supreme leader. It's debatable if he's alive or even has the capacity to govern, if he's wounded or in a coma.
Or he has a missing leg.
But that said, that is part of the Islamic Republic's really agenda or strategy. It is meant to function despite leadership decapitation. They had a contingency plan. So if you're a mid-level official, a commander, let's say, of a certain brigade, or if you're a foot soldier carrying out day-to-day operations, you know what your tasks are, whether you have a supreme leader or a national security council or not.
By the way, we have over 733 people in here. Make sure you guys double tap that screen. Whoops, wrong button. Double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side, and as well as hit the like button if you're on the horizontal. Listen, you guys don't have to like all this craziness. You guys can like it for me and what we do here.
You know that you're supposed to regionalize the war, use the drones and missiles to attack civilian infrastructure, Israel and U.S. bases. And once those stockpiles are depleted and those capabilities are removed after the U.S. attacks, then you shift your focus internally, open fire on armed protesters, because ultimately the Iranian people are the real existential threat. As to who Larijani was, he, interestingly enough, did a little bit of both. So he was, of course, part of the architects that orchestrated the mass killing of Iranians in January. He was definitely a key actor that contributed to the death of about 40,000 unarmed protesters. On the other hand, he was also, as you noted, the secretary of the Supreme National Security Council. That means he was also a military official in his own capacity. He had close ties to Moscow as well, as another way of looking at it. So taking him out not only disrupts the command structure, but it also demoralizes the body of the regime's armed forces. Now they know that there's no way out for them. So I think it's a clear signal that...
Why are you gay?
The assassination wave is not done, and Israel and America are going to continue to go after present, future, and present, past, and future political leaders of the regime.
Before we go on to who else is possibly next in line when it comes to these specific targets, Jonathan, we don't get too many live images coming out of Iran. We do have one coming in at this moment. I want to take it briefly. This is courtesy of the Associated Press, and it has to do with Ali Larijani. So the AP saying this: it is the funeral being held for that top Iranian security official. What looks to be here, thousands of Iranians, they are taking to the streets, waving the flags, and they're, again, specifically for the funeral of Larijani. It brings me to this next point, because I want to talk about
it's a lot
Iranians
of people
in general. This looks like a mixed feed here.
That's right. It's a lot of all the snack bars going on over here.
Possibly from the state-run news agency. But take a look at that. A lot of people there on the streets. Now, it was just, you know, a couple of months ago that we were talking about a lot of these protesters that were there protesting against the Iranian regime, protesting against the way that the country was being run. They were being killed off for their protest. But then we're also getting these images of thousands of people there at a funeral service for one of the officials that has been killed. So what is the sentiment there on the ground in Iran? What kind of divide do we see from civilians that live there? Where do they stand amidst this conflict and really all of the developments that have happened since those initial strikes on February 28th?
I cannot think of any other country with this much of a gap and divide between the ruling entity and the people. The mindset on the ground talking.
Okay, all right. We already know this shit. We're gonna move on. All right. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt speaks to reporters amid the Iran conflict. We're not even gonna play the whole thing. It's actually fairly quick, but we still need to get into Senator Mullin makes his opening statement in his DHS confirmation hearing. And that is happening right now as we speak, and it's probably going to be happening all day. So, but we have his opening speech.
Preemptively, why is it fair for the president to expect NATO allies to help now after the fact?
NATO allies benefit far more from the reopening of the Strait
Fix the fucking audio, please.
of Hormuz than the United States does. As you know, thanks to this president's
I'm not going to listen to
energy
it if it's like this. If it's like this, I'm not listening to it. Let's skip ahead.
see them do more.
There we go. All right.
Is obviously good for America because it will stabilize the global oil industry. It will bring prices down again, but it greatly benefits Europe and our allies in NATO, and the president wants to see them do more. Look, I think you guys know this. One of the president's guiding principles is fairness, and he's long called out NATO for being what he believes sometimes an unfair alliance for the American taxpayer and our American military. You look at the billions of dollars we spend housing U.S. troops on the soil of our NATO ally countries. That's a benefit to them because it serves as a deterrent from our adversaries around the world. If you look at our unfair trade deals with many of our NATO allies, the president and his trade team have obviously worked to rectify those new trade deals with the UK, with the EU. The president wants all of our alliances to be fair for the American people, for the American taxpayer, and I think he's right to call on them to step up and do more in this time.
I have a follow-up. I'll ask one other question, leave that to others, which is very simply, can the president declare this war effort a success if the U.S. does not retrieve Iran's nuclear fuel?
Look, that's something the president has refused to comment on. It's an option on the table for him, but I'm not going to comment on it or take it off the table. We've defined the objectives of Operation Epic Fury very clearly, which is, of course, to wipe out Iran's ballistic missile arsenal, which we have been very successful in doing. We've achieved dominance over the skies of Iran, to annihilate their navy, which we have done. According to CENTCOM this morning, I received the updated numbers. More than 120 naval vessels are at the bottom of the sea because of our United States Armed Forces. That's a great thing for the American people. That's a great thing for our allies in the region. And of course, to ensure that, yes, Iran cannot permanently cannot possess a nuclear weapon is something this president has long said for decades. But I'm not going to forecast or remove any future options off the table.
Still have the ability to produce a nuclear weapon or no?
Look, again, we're in a place right now where we're ensuring that Iran can no longer threaten the United States of America, and the United States military is doing a tremendous job at achieving these objectives.
Caroline, is Tulsi Gabbard's job in jeopardy right now, given the Joe Penn stuff?
Not to my knowledge. I haven't heard the president say that, nor have I heard him say that. So obviously that's a question for him, but I haven't heard him to say that at all.
And can you give us an update on what you're hearing from the Chinese about when this trip might be rescheduled?
We're working with them. They have agreed to postpone the trip. I think they understand the president's rationale for doing so. But again, we're working on those dates.
Good morning, Rabbit of Chaos. Great to see you in the chat. Good morning.
The president has some things here at home in May that he has to attend to, and I'm sure President Xi is a very busy man as well. So we'll get the dates on the books as soon as we can, and we'll keep all of you posted.
Caroline, given that the allies seem to have rebuffed the president's request for help, and now he says he no longer needs their help, What is the plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz quickly?
The president is going to continue to talk to our allies, both in Europe and also in the Gulf and Arab region. The United States military has a lot of capabilities, as you have seen play out over the last 18 days. They still do have tricks up their sleeve. I won't broadcast them for the media, but rest assured there is a plan. They're working on it. We have seen some progress with respect to that, but of course the president, again, continues to call on our allies to step up and do more.
Which they all basically said no. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our very, very final story here for the morning. Senator Mullin makes opening statement in DHS confirmation hearing. Now, of course, this hearing is going to be going on for the rest of the day, essentially. So we're only going to be checking out his opening statement. All right, let's go ahead and get into this.
I think before I can start my opening statement, I have to address the remarks the chairman made, calling me a liar.
Oh, shit.
Sir, I think everybody in this room knows that I'm very blunt and direct to the point. And if I have something to say, I'll say it directly to your face. If you recall, back in my House days, we actually did have this conversation because the remarks that I made. You were in a room. I simply addressed that I said I could understand because of the behavior you were having, that I could understand why the neighbor did what he did. As far as my terms, the snake in the grass, sir, I work around this room to try to fix problems. I've worked with many people in this room. Seems like you fight Republicans more than you work with us. I did address those remarks. I did explain your gimmicks by the amendment you put forth. And as far as me saying that I invoke violence, I don't think anybody should be hit by surprise. I don't like that. But if I do have something to say, everybody in this room knows I'll come straight to you. I'll say it publicly and I'll say it privately, but I'll never say it behind your back. So for you to say I'm a liar, sir, that's not accurate. And I got proof to say that because you have spent millions of dollars in my campaigns against me because we just don't get along. However, sir, that doesn't keep me at all from doing my job. I can have different opinions with everybody in this room, but as Secretary of Homeland, I'll be protecting everybody, including Kentucky, as much as I will my own backyard in Oklahoma. It's bigger than the partisan bickering that we have. It's bigger than the political differences we have. The truth is, I have a job to do, and I don't like to fail at anything at all. So I can set it aside if you're willing to set it aside.
We got over 1,000 people, man. Make sure you guys hit that like button. I very much appreciate it. Double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side.
Earn your respect. Let me earn the job. I won't fail you. I won't back down from a challenge. And I'll also admit when I'm wrong. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. I make mistakes just like anybody else. But mistakes, if you own them, you can learn from them and you can move ahead. And I'll make that commitment to you. Ranking Member Peters, Chairman Paul, I do thank you for this opportunity. It is a humbling experience. A kid from Westville, Oklahoma, that grew up with a dad that worked hard. He set the work example for all of us. And all my families, and my siblings, we all work hard. And I'm proud of the family we have. But to say that a kid with a bad speech impediment would one day sit up here in front of you and be nominated to be the Secretary of Homeland, it was humbling enough to be selected by Oklahoma to be their U.S. representative when I didn't even know how to tie a tie. And 10 years later, to be able to be called a United States Senator and serve with all you guys. And I respect every one of you guys. I do. Regardless if I have an opinion about you or not, you were elected by your state, and I respect that.
Right. You respect the position, not the person.
I disagree with you, but I respect it because we all make decisions based on two things: the way you're raised, which never changes, and our life experiences, which constantly change.
What's up, Beezer? Good morning to you. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
For me, to be able to have the love of my life behind me, somebody I literally fell in love with in 3rd grade, I knew I was going to marry her in 8th grade. She didn't know that yet. We had to work through that process. But at 18 years old, and I was 19, she agreed to marry me. I didn't have anything. I was on a wrestling scholarship, living in a dorm. She was cheering at Northeastern State University. I think she fell in love with my truck, because my truck was pretty cool. But the truth is, we didn't know what we didn't know, but we did know we loved each other. And I haven't been perfect. I apologize to her quite often and send her flowers all the time. But I still am humbled by the fact that we've got to enjoy this walk together. We've had God on our side and her right beside me. And to our 6 children who's been on this adventure with me, what an adventure it's been.
Whoa, Brother Beezer coming out with the 5 gifted memberships. Let's freaking go, dude. Sending them out this morning. I very much appreciate it. Not only helping me, but you're helping 5 others in the Insane Wheels family, man. I very much appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
We have a saying in our family, you're never going to change anything you're willing to tolerate. That's how we live our life, and that's how we move forward. And regardless of what's in front of us, we always take it on as a family. And I'm not scared of a challenge. I am scared of failure. And so I will work hard each day. I'll work hard to make the 280,000 employees at DHS with the 22 agencies that's underneath me proud. I'll show them somebody that no one will outwork. I'll work beside them every single day to not just secure a homeland, to bring peace of mind and confidence to the agency. My goal in 6 months is that we're not in the lead story every single day. My goal is for people to understand we're out there, we're protecting them, and we're working with them. My goal is to make every one of you guys proud. My goal for those that don't support me, regret not supporting me. But we have to get DHS funded. We have to. My friends.
What's up, Jessica? Good morning.
We have to set the partisan side down. And we have to realize that we're putting our homeland and the peace of mind at risk for the American people. Sometimes it's political theater, sometimes it's true differences. But what we do know is that we're playing with fire. We have 280,000 DHS employees right now that are on day 30 without pay, and they're still showing up every single day to do their job. That is a dedicated group of people. And we should all be proud of them. We should all be working together, and we should all be trying to fund them. So I pray, seriously, I pray that we can get past this. That once this hearing is over and once we go through this process, I get it. I get some of it's got to be political theater. I understand it. I've had to really pray about my attitude. But I will say, once it's over, I hope we can work together and get them funded. So when I walk in, if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed, if I walk in as secretary, that these guys are ready to go to work day one. So God bless you. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to your questions.
All right. That was the opening statement. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the show, man. I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough, especially you guys that were 22 minutes into overtime, man. I very much appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us this morning. So listen, we're going to be back tonight at 7:10 p.m. For Central Standard Time. And we're doing the Diamond Effect this evening. And then, of course, we're coming back for more of the World's Madness tomorrow morning. So listen, stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy Chaotic Truth. He always has interesting panels and discussions. Make sure you guys let him know we're coming through with the Mike Ball / Insane Wheels raid, whatever. And we'll see you guys here tomorrow morning, or actually tonight, and then tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. Until then, God bless everyone. We'll see you guys very soon. Much love. Shit.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burns.